Hey guys, my name is Cameron. Welcome back to the Life of a Dev, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to manage local state using the useState hook in React hooks. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
I can't get you out of my mind. It's like I feel it for the first time. Been thinking about you all night. I've been searching for this all my life. You're just my type.
So let's get right into it. Here I have VS Code opened up, and what we're going to do is we're just going to open a new folder. I'm going to open my tutorials folder, and we will create a new folder in here, and we'll just call it, we'll do local state React hooks. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and open that folder up here in our VS Code, and once we have that opened up, we'll just go ahead and start a new terminal here, and we will just run create React app, and that will just create a basic React app that we can use to start off as a boilerplate. So this is going to take a minute. I'll speed it up, fast forward it, and I'll see you guys when this is done. Alrighty guys, so this has gone ahead and created a nice React app for us. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. I'll show you guys how I clean this up. The first thing I want to do is just change the short name in here, and we'll just call it local state app. Local state app. App, and we can just call it the same thing right here. So we'll save the manifest file, and then another thing I like to do is in the index.html, I also like to just change the title. So it's just going to be React app, so we'll change it to local state app. Just keep it simple. Oh, I spelled local wrong. Huh. Dingus. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that. Typos. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we'll close that public folder and we'll open up our source folder. We don't need index.css, we don't need app.test.js, and then we can go in here and we can remove the line where we import index.css, and then we can jump into our app.css here. We can go ahead and backspace everything because we'll write a little bit of our own CSS. And then we're going to change this as well. We're not going to need the logo.svg. We can actually come over here and delete that file. And then we're going to actually remove this whole function here. And we're going to inline export it. And how we'll do that is we'll just create an anonymous arrow function, which will then be exported, and then we'll, just to make sure everything works, we'll return null just for now. So let's go ahead and launch it, and we'll do that by going npm, I think it's just npm start. So yep, that's going to start our React app, and it should just be a blank white page, nothing special. And it popped open here on my other screen, so I'll bring it over here, let it load for just a second, but it should just be a blank white screen that just says local state app in the title. It's still launching, so we compiled with a warning. It's just saying that React is declared in this app dot. We declare, or we import React, but we never use it, and that's just because we return null. But as you see, we do have our title here, and everything seems to be okay. So the next thing we'll do is we're just going to create, so we need some type of element to manage state and to update state. So we're going to return, we'll just return a div that will have a class name of main. And within this div, we'll just have an h1 element, and we'll just type hello for now. And then below this h1 element, we'll need an input, and that will be a type of text. And we will, we can just back the rest out and put a placeholder in here, which will just say enter your name. Enter your name. Okay. And if we go ahead and save that, we should get a huge error because I have a little typo right here. So, okay, so now it should compile and we should just get hello blank. Okay, so this doesn't look half bad, but I definitely want to make it look a little bit better. So let's jump into our app.css here. We'll do a wildcard. This is how I normally start off all my Sass or CSS, whatever I'm writing. And I'll do margin 0, padding 0, and then we'll change the box sizing of all these elements to border box. And that should just basically nice. It collapsed everything. What we'll do is we'll target this main element here, and that's the div that holds the h1 and the input box, and we will give it, so it already has margin and padding, so we'll give it a width of 100 view width, so basically the maximum viewport for the width, and a height of 100 VH and the maximum viewport for the height. So that made this element span. I know this is only taking up a very small amount of space, but the actual element spans the whole page, and I can represent that. We'll just give it a different background color. So we'll go background. We'll just do my favorite 1E. Oh, that's not it at all. Okay, right there. And now if we hop back over here, we see that it spans the whole element. This contrast really sucks. So let's go ahead and change the color. We'll set it to white. And nice. So now we have a nice contrast, but this element is at the very top. So what we'll do now is we're going to turn this into a flexbox. Display, if I can spell. Oh, I was waiting for it to pop up. Display, there it is, flex, justify content center, and align items center. So now everything should be pushed into the center of the page. They're side by side because we declared a flex box, and that's the natural, like the normal state of this flex box is to be side by side. We actually want these to be on top of each other. So we need to change the flex direction from its default to a column. And now they are stacked on top of each other. I don't like the font here, so let's just grab a font from Google Fonts. We'll just grab a nice font. I like it. It's called Lato. Not Loto. Lato. Okay. And we will just select that, and we'll just get our import statement here, and we will toss that on top of our wildcard. And in here we will just assign a font family of Lato, and that should change basically every element to have that same font family. We can close that out, and as you see, our font's applied. The spacing between these two text boxes I don't really like, so let's go ahead and we will target our H2, or is it H2 or H1? H1, and we will just give it some margin, margin 20 pixels 0, and then awesome, that works. So that's looking better already. So the next thing we can do is we'll target the text box and just assign a little bit of padding so it doesn't look as jank. So padding 10 pixels or 5 pixels top, 10 pixels left and right. And don't forget our semicolon. And there we go. So that looks a lot better. I might take this down to like 2 pixels. Yeah, okay, that works for me. And I'm gonna do, I know this is not necessary, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So we'll do border radius, if I can find it, border radius 5 pixels and border none, because that will just make it look weird, so we'll just do border none. And there we go. Now we have a nice little text box that has nice little rounded corners. And what we're going to do is we're going to be able to type our name in here, and it will be managed in state, and it will also change the this here. So let's jump right into that. So we can go right back into our app.js, and what we need to do is we actually need to import our useState up here. So we're going to use JavaScript destructuring to import our useState, and then inside of our functional component here we need to basically declare our state and a way to set the state. And how we do that is we declare a constant array, and this array will have 2 functions in it. You can name these functions whatever you want. So we're just going to call ours, we'll call it user, let's call it username, works for me. And the next one will be set username. So one will be to grab the information from state, and the other one will be to set the information into state. And that will be equal to the useState, and then we need to declare default state. We'll just declare it as an empty string for now. So that's that. We've declared our username, so this is how we'll grab the state, and then this is how we will set the state. So in this H1 here, we're actually going to just plop in, we'll do our curly braces, which will bring us back into JavaScript, and or will allow us to write JavaScript in our JSX, and then we can put our username variable here. And then in this input box, we actually need to set the state. So how we're going to be doing that is we will do on change. So every time there is a change in this text box, we're going to fire off some JavaScript. And what we're actually going to fire off is an anonymous arrow function. I don't know why it keeps jumping down like that. Sorry guys, I'm just typing, and so we'll fire off an anonymous arrow function, which will just return set username, and we actually need to set the username in here. So to get the username from this text box, what we need to do is we need to pass down the event. So what event is happening on change is basically what this is. So what we'll do is, so every time this text box changes, or the value of the text box changes, we're going to be passing down this text box in the change. So that's really hard to, let me see if I can show you this. So what we'll actually, instead of setting state, we'll do console log, and we will console log the event, and just so I can show you guys here. So compiled without any problems here, and then here's our dev tools. So I'm gonna plop these right next to each other, and then in our console here, if I type anything, as you see, it fires off the asynchronous event. And if we open up our target here, let me see, let me just go back into the code here, and we'll just do e.target. And I'll show you what that means. or what that does. So once again, we'll hop over here, and then if we just start typing, as you see, we're actually passing down the entire input box in the event function. So what we can do is we can do e.target.value and get the value of that text box. So now when we type inside this text box, you should see whatever we type in, as you see. So whatever we type into this text box, it's going to log out. And what we'll do is, instead of logging it, we're going to set that to state. So what we've done so far is we've destructured and are including or importing our useState hook. We've declared the actual state and the setter for our state and default state. So the default state is blank. We've returned a h1, which will say hello, and then whatever our state is. And then this text box here is actually what's going to update our state. So we'll remove this console log, and instead of console log, we'll just do set username, and we'll just do e.target.value. If we save that here, we should get everything compiled successfully, and we can jump over to our browser here. And we can close that, or actually we'll hop over to our React hooks. And there's nothing there yet, or our React developer tools. And we can just start typing our name. And as you see, as we type, it says, "Hello, Cameron." And let me see. We should be able to see this state here. So yeah, so it's an anonymous component. And as you see in our hooks right here, we have a state of Cameron. And we can change this to David. We can change it to whatever we want. So, and as you see, the state over here changes as we update the state. So once again, we just type Cameron, and our state is updating. And it's updating every single time we remove a letter or type a letter, which is exactly what we want to do. So that is how you guys create and manage local state in React hooks, or using React hooks. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and have a lovely day, guys. Bye-bye.